This is SCTD. You are now listening to WDC Radio. Stay tuned for more information on LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
What's the count? Good morning. This is WDC Radio. I'm your host. I am WDC. Callers, where you at? 323-247-7443. It's Sickle Cell Awareness Month, September 9th, the 9th day of Sickle Cell Awareness Month. I got my co-host over here, DBC, aka Jody Johnson. What's the count?
What's the count? Another week.
Another week at it, huh?
Man, another week at it. Take it to the next level.
How you feeling today?
Oh, man, I feel great, man. Righteous.
Righteous? Cool, man. Cool. I have a action-packed show for you today. I got two callers calling in. The first half is going to be Ashley Barnett. She's going to call in and share her story living with sickle cell with her and her son. And then the second half of the show, I have a grandmother, Deidre, who's going to call in and share her story with her granddaughter living with sickle cell. So, action-packed show for you today. Couple calls. We live here in the studio.
What's the count? Call in.
This is a theme song right here. It's on iTunes. Curtis Blow, Young Ice, and IG the Great. It's What's the Count? Support that. 99 cents. Instrument version and rap version. Check out the verse.
Tell me what's the count? Had Jerry run a route and Montana throw it out. At water make him sour when the back try to bounce. So I'm flipping through the channels as the bulls where I'm out. 2 over 40 enemies close mouth. So I'm ESPN and bury like a mouse. Scan through the rivals, play off idle. He'll make all enemies suicidal. Similar to Marshall Falk, a quick bouncer. Scatting on the fast, all you hear is the announcer. Then competition, so the crowd scream louder. Then he realized Roger Craig is his founder. So he sits on the defender around her. As Kareem, my dude, your ball hooks a mountain. Magic with a pass, so the Lakers straight clowning. All I wanna know is homeboy, what's the count?
So again, this is WDC Radio. You can catch us live. We're streaming live on Las Vegas Talk Live and DC Talk Live. So you can check us out there right now simultaneously. Go to those websites. We're there streaming live. Again, this is Sickle Cell Awareness Month. Very important month for us.
Yes, it is.
I myself have the trait. My man right here, Jody, has Fortunately, he battles with the disease, one of the soldiers out here. So I want to acknowledge our community for doing your posts. If you're out there, Team Sickle Cell, hashtag Team Sickle Cell, hashtag Sickle Cell Awareness Month, hashtag WDC Radio, hashtag No Pain in the Playroom, that's my teammates, hashtag Girl for Sickle Cell, Voices of Sickle Cell. That's my team out there, man.
Say what's up to Alan in Atlanta.
Shouts out to Alan, our man.
And to little Jody, my son, in the ATL. I talked to him yesterday.
Yeah.
Keep it pushing. Yeah, he's not doing too good, but he's gonna be okay.
He's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
Still having some little exertion.
Yeah, man.
Trait issues.
It's getting worse.
Is it? Yeah, we gotta give him a shout out. So again, Sickle Cell Awareness Month, 2.5 million. We're gonna try to figure out what those numbers actually are. They're saying 2 million, 2.5 million have the sickle cell trait in the United States. Millions across the country. They're saying about 100,000 have sickle cell disease in the U.S. Millions across the country.
Yeah.
One of the conversations that's not being dealt with. We feel it's not being dealt with directly. Kids are dying still from the disease. It's just inherited. So it's not African Americans. It's a global issue. Hispanic community is number 2. And, Mediterranean, European. And depends on your ancestry. So it depends on where your peoples are from. You could have it. And so you just got to go get tested. Ask for the test. Sickle cell trait screening. And find out what's in your genes. thalassemia, hemoglobin C, hemoglobin
Hmm.
D. Just so there's thousands of red blood cell conditions.
Yeah, actually, all this weekend I ran into a couple of people that has the traits and the sickle cell disease, Indian, and there was another person that was Malaysian.
Yeah. So it's a global issue. So I got my first caller on the line. She's here, so let me bring her on. She's gonna share her story and her son's story living with sickle cell. Let me see if she's here. You live at What's the Count?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi.
Hi,
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good.
Hey, I want to first thank you, Ashley, for taking time out on today and sharing your story and your son's story. It's a very, very important conversation here because it's not just sickle cell, the two genes. It's actually another hemoglobin that we were just talking about, hemoglobin D. So can you introduce yourself to the listeners, please?
Yes, I'm Ashley, and I have a son named Eli, and he has sickle cell SD, which is also known as hemoglobin D disease.
Right. And when did you first find out that you and your partner, your mate, had the two genes?
When I gave birth to my son, they did a test at the hospital called a PKU test,
Uh-huh.
and the state actually contacted me and told me that my son had sickle cell disease. And I went back to do my 6-week checkup with my regular doctor that delivered him, and he told me not to worry about it because I was Caucasian, that there was no way that my son had the disease, that he was probably just a trait carrier. But he did make me an appointment with a hematologist. I went and saw the hematologist, and he had a complete DNA makeup of my son when I got there. And he told me that my son actually has sickle cell disease.
Wow. And did you know before your son, did you and your mate know that you carried one of those genes?
I had no idea. I carry the D trait, and his father carries the sickle trait.
And you guys had no clue before your son, Eli.
And the hematologist told us that he's seen one other case like my son in his 20 years of experience.
Wow. So it's definitely
So,
a rare combination, should I say.
yes.
So what was your first thoughts when you found out that your son had sickle cell SD? What was your first thoughts?
Well, my first question was, what can we do to cure it? But obviously, there's really not a cure for it.
Right.
I was really concerned, and like the hematologist told me, he said it could go back in my bloodline for 200-300 years. I mean, there's no white race.
Right.
There's no white bloodline. Is how he explained it to me, and that
It
was a little overwhelming. But through your show, you put me in contact with a girl named Christy who has the same type that my son has.
Exactly. We had Christy on maybe a week or a few days before me and you made contact, and she was on the show that Monday, and she has SD, so it's no coincidence.
And I talked to her on the phone and got an idea of kind of what to watch for with my son, and because his type is really rare, so we really don't know what to expect with it.
Yeah.
We just kind of take it day by day. He has a lot of high fevers, and I've ran into a problem at the hospital with, I walk in there with my kid and I tell him the issue that's going on. I always consult with the hematologist first. And
Yes.
if his fever is really high, he tells me to take him to the ER. And we get there and they don't believe me. I usually have to give him his hematologist's phone number for them to confirm that that's actually what he has.
So
it's really discouraging.
So when you go to the emergency room and you bring your son and he's in a fever and you tell him he has sickle cell, a form of sickle cell disease, because of your ethnicity, they give you a hard
Yes.
time.
Exactly. They look at me like I'm crazy. It's real irritating. Sometimes I even go in there with, he goes to the hematologist pretty often, and I'll go in there with his latest blood work with me. And they still, at the top of it says his name, date of birth, and what he's diagnosed with, and
Right.
they still look at me like I'm
Like
crazy.
you got the wrong paperwork.
Yeah, it's very discouraging and very irritating because you got a sick kid and you just want them to do what they're supposed to do to make him better.
Now, did the doctors give you any kind of any what to look for? Any symptoms? What did they tell you to kind of besides the fevers?
Just the swelling of the hands and the feet. Anytime his fever runs high, of course that means there's something going on with his immune system.
Yeah.
We ran into a big problem when he got his last set of shots. His fever got up to like 103, almost to 104. And usually they just admit him, give him antibiotics through an IV, and 2 or 3 days later we're released.
What now? Please share with the viewers and listeners how old your son is now.
He's 10 months old.
10 months old.
Yes. I found out, I think about 3-4 weeks after he was born, that he actually had the disease. But I mean, even the MD that delivered him, he had never heard of it, which worries me because, when you take your kid in, you want them to know you think they have knowledge of what's going on.
Exactly.
And I know sickle cell disease is very prominent in a lot of people, but the kind my son has isn't, and that's what really worries me.
Right. And what is his father? What was his expression? What did he express to you when you found out?
To be honest, I'm solo on the parenting, so just it's just me.
So it's just
I don't
you.
really know what his response was.
Oh wow. Okay. So what do you want to share with the listeners as far as a parent, a single parent now dealing with a son with a rare case of sickle cell disease in your state? Are you in contact with other organizations or anybody in support groups?
We're going to do a walk for sickle cell this month, actually.
Okay.
You kind of feel helpless when you find out your kid has something like that. So just doing your radio show or doing the walk, anything like that I can do to be active, to contribute what I can makes me feel better, like I'm doing something.
Right.
I would just tell people, I mean, I had no idea that I carry that trait. No one in my family has ever had this disease. And I think it is real important that people do like genetic testing when, they decide they're going to have a baby with somebody.
Exactly. And that's one of our campaigns is to find out what's in your genes, because again, like I said in the beginning of the show, there's so many different red blood cell conditions out there. And when it comes in contact with sickle cell trait, it's a form of sickle cell disease. And so there's so many thousands of different conditions that affect the red blood cells. And I don't know, Jody.
Hematologists had told me that there's new types coming out, basically all the time.
Yeah.
Different, I guess you would say, strands of it.
Yeah, right. Different strands. Jody, do you have any questions? I got my co-host here, Jody. He has sickle cell disease. He wants to maybe have a question for you.
Yeah, how is it like how often does your son has a crisis? Do you worry about him at night? Do you lose a lot of sleep sometimes?
Well, because he's a baby, he's only 10 months. He really can't communicate to me when he's hurting.
Right.
So, there's days where he'll go 2 or 3 days where he's just extremely irritable. And, I always call the hematologist, and they usually look at him and they, to see if there's any type of crisis going on. But he really hasn't had any kind of pain crisis that I'm aware of. He's just had episodes where he's ran extremely high fevers, which the hematologist told me, he's going to kind of be prone to that type of thing because his immune system is, kind of down compared to somebody that has normal blood.
Yeah, that's how it was with me when I was coming up with. I got diagnosed at the age of 1, and I always had a lot of fevers up until my late 20s, and now they're starting to come back. So
can I ask you a question?
Oh, go ahead.
How old are you?
45.
Were you able to play sports throughout your life?
No, never.
I mean, when you were a kid, would it just overexert you?
Actually, when I was a little kid, I had 11 brothers and sisters. I'm the only one that never played sports. I was always up under my mom because I was always weak, too weak to do anything. Right now, I'm living off a 5.0 blood count right now, so I barely have enough energy just to get out the bed.
What is your name?
Jody Johnson.
Jody Johnson, I will pray for you. I pray my son can live a normal life, as much as possible.
I believe he will, because there's a lot of things different. There's a lot of things going on right now that what you can do. I don't know if you're doing this right now. Make sure he drink a lot of water, apple
I
juice.
kind of alternate milk or formula with water with him. The pediatrician and the hematologist have stressed that to me.
Yeah, a lot of water and
Alkaline
juice.
water too.
Yes.
Alkaline water hydrates the cells, so you want to definitely try some alkaline.
Alkaline?
Yeah, alkaline water.
And Pedialyte too, since he's 10 months old. A lot of Pedialyte, and that's pretty
Yeah, he
good.
drinks a lot of Pedialyte.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what state are you in again?
I'm in Texas.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wanna keep in touch. You gotta get your information later on.
Yeah, I have
Okay.
I have her information.
Okay. All
So
right.
how are you handling this on your for you mentally? How are you handling that?
I just, hope for the best. I'm a spiritual person, so I believe in positive thoughts will bring positive things into your life. So I just, I pray every night that he'll be okay. And so far, I would say that it's worse, minus fevers and things like that. But I think any kid goes through that.
Yeah. And can you share again, in case the listeners missed, can you share them your background, your race, so they can?
I'm Caucasian. I'm 31 years old. I had no idea that I was a D trait carrier until
Wow.
I had my son, and they did the PKU test at the hospital. The state contacted me, told me my son had sickle cell SD, which is also, my hematologist refers to it as disease.
Wow.
I mean, so I'm looking at some of the things that go along with the D trait, and it talks about iron, it talks about oxygen. Did they doctors tell you the symptoms of the D trait alone? Like, have you noticed any symptoms in yourself as a form of anemia?
I haven't had any symptoms other than he told me that I've always shown up anemic in my life, but he told me that actually it wasn't me really being anemic, it was just the D trait, and that if someone that didn't specialize in blood, I guess like a hematologist, they wouldn't have really picked that up. It would have just shown up that I was anemic.
Right.
But other than that, no, I have no issues with being a D trait carrier.
And as far as your son, being able to play sports, is something you want to monitor, because sickle cell disease affects everybody different. And there are some who play sports and have no problems, and there are some who are affected by fatigue.
That's true.
And so it really just depends on the person. My cousin has sickle cell disease, and he does like taekwondo and that kind of stuff to stay in shape. So
What type does he have?
he has SS.
SS.
Yeah.
The Christian girl that you got, well, it was one of you guys that put me in contact with. She said that, she had a moderately normal life up until about puberty age,
Mhm.
I believe, and then she said it kind of stopped, and then, later in life she's been having issues with it.
Well, my mentor.
I'm really thankful that you guys put me in contact with her, because it's good to know what to expect, especially with something like my son has, where you really don't know what's going to happen.
Definitely. My mentor, Phyllis Zachary Thomas, who passed away, she had sickle cell SS, and hers kind of went away in her 30s. So she had crisis as a kid. In her 30s, it kind of went, silent, and then in her late 30s, 40s, it kicked in again. So
Wow.
it really affects everybody different. And that's what we need to get the medical attention, the doctors, the care, the nurses, that everybody that has it affects them.
Well, there's documentation of, all different types.
Exactly. So what do you want the world to know about sickle cell?
Just that it's, it's a very prominent disease. It affects more people than, the society realizes. Or actually, how it affects people. People
Right.
in society, I don't think really realize that, because I know myself, I did not. And now that I know it, although my son hasn't had a lot of crises, it's scary for me to even think, that he's going to hurt that bad one day.
Yeah. What do you when you go to the emergency room and you get the questioning? What do you think? What do you think we can do to make a difference in that area as far as the sickle cell community,
They could get educated.
educating those doctors and nurses?
The first time you see it, you would think, and I hope that most doctors, when it's brought to their attention, will study it because, if I'm going to the ER, it means I have a sick kid, and he needs medical attention because clearly it's not something that I could take care of at home, and it's real frustrating. I mean, if you could see the looks that they give me when I go in there, it's like I'm just a liar. And I don't know how to explain the frustration to you because you got a screaming kid, and you just want him to feel better.
Yeah.
And, you're going in there with paperwork, and I've just come accustomed to calling my hematologist prior to that. When he tells me I got to go to the ER, I just let him know what ER I'm going to be going to so he can make a phone call before I get there.
Wow. Joe, do you have any more questions?
Yeah, just stay encouraged. Your son, I truly believe will have a normal life. Because prayer changes a lot of things. They told me I wasn't going to make 18. I'll be 46 next month, and
prayer is very powerful.
Yeah. So what I do a lot of different events. I do music. I get tired, but it keeps me going. So as long as you stay active, I don't even think about pain or none of that. Just try to stay active in the community. Keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate talking to you.
Well, Jody, I'll be praying for you. I hope you have good health from here on out.
Anything you want the listeners to know, Ashley?
I just think it's really important to do genetic testing to see what you're dealing with. I mean, I know a lot of people can't afford that kind of thing, and that was kind of my case, but I wouldn't change having my son for anything, but I kind of would have liked to have been a little bit more prepared for, knowing what I was dealing with.
Yeah. And that happens, unfortunately, it happens a lot in society where the parents don't find out until during the pregnancy or after. And one of the things that...
Like I told you, my MD that delivered him, even after I told him the state had contacted me, he said, don't worry about it. He is probably only a trait carrier. Because, he knew my son was mixed. Right. But even when I came back, with the paperwork and I told him, this is what they said, he was shocked.
I mean, doctors, they're only practicing, it's a practice, unfortunately. Yes. Huh?
I wanted to remind you about your past guest, a doctor.
Yeah.
Who is a doctor?
Yeah, we have a doctor. We have a doctor in North Carolina who has sickle cell trait, and she's pregnant right now with her 6th child and is in a crisis with sickle cell trait. And they don't believe her. They don't believe that a person with the sickle cell trait can have complications. And she's a doctor.
That's an educated woman.
Yes, and she's a doctor.
Exactly.
And so they're questioning her as a doctor that you can't be having a crisis. What are you talking about?
Well, what I've read is that the sickle cell trait people, they do have complications from it. Not all, but some of them do.
Yes, some of us, like myself, who collapsed from the sickle cell trait being a trigger, and I had no idea that I was in life-threatening conditions.
That what blew me away. Because
of the sickle cell trait and the exertion from doing the 2-mile run.
Did the doctors believe you when you went to the hospital?
Nah, it wasn't even a question. It was like, oh, you're just dehydrated. Don't worry about it.
You'll be
Go get some rest.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you have kidney problems now, so we don't know what that is either. But just go lay down. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's irritating, huh?
It is. And then there are secondary conditions that go along with it. So I battle arthritis now because of it, and I had vertigo. So I no longer exercise at the capacity that I actually used to play basketball 2-3 times a week. And so now that's all cut out. pretty much.
And you're in the military, right?
Yes, I'm in the military for
So you're
another.
very active, I'm sure.
I used to be, so I got like another month left, and then they're actually medical discharging me from the United States Army because of my condition. So it's life changing.
That's what I'm jealous of. I wish I was in the military.
I hope my son can do things like that in
he
life.
will.
I
He
hope,
will.
if he wants to join the military, he can.
You are a part of our community. I mean, and not just our community, but the humanity. It's important for us to stay connected.
We forever connected
And
now.
so you got support. If nobody out there is supporting you, you have support from us. And
Well, I appreciate that.
and so anything you need, if we can help you find resources, if you need some help in Texas, we can help you, locate some assistance or whatever you need. Feel free to call and find out, ask us questions for sure.
Okay, I will do that.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break. I got a next guest coming on real quick. But you're welcome to stay on the line, Ashley, if you would like to. Again, and I want to thank you for calling in and sharing your story about your son.
Well, thanks
it's
for
really
listening.
important. It's really important. So we'll be right back. We're gonna take a break. This is WDC Radio. I'm your host. I am WDC. Got my man over here.
DVC.
Shout us out. We'll be right back. What's the count?
You are now tuned into LA Talk Live. We're more than just talk. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.
Journey Sisters is an organization that embodies and captivates women from all walks of life. Our membership includes 44 women that are constantly growing in the areas of personal development and community involvement. Monthly, we offer free leadership classes at McCade's Restaurant. Journey aims to inform women in the areas of heart disease and HIV and AIDS. Experience the journey now by logging into www.journeymosaicinc.com. Toll free 888-906-5519. Journey with no excuses.
Meet Betsy. She is 29 years old and lives in Los Angeles. Recently, Betsy sent her father an email that brought tears of joy to his eyes. You see, Betsy suffers from autism, and this was the first email she had ever sent to anyone. Betsy is just one of the many students at Empower Tech, a nonprofit organization in Los Angeles that trains persons living with a broad range of physical, cognitive, and developmental disabilities how to use computers to do the things that so many of us take for granted: email, online banking, research, and entertainment. Through modern assistive technology, instructors at Empower Tech help hundreds of people just like Betsy every year. They teach them the basic skills required to function independently in 21st century society. But with new state budget cuts, all of that could change. Empower Tech needs your help if it's going to continue making a difference here in our community. Please visit www.empowertech.org. That's www.empowertech.org to make a secure, tax-deductible contribution and to learn more about this important community resource and to see for yourself what some of the amazing students and teachers do on a daily basis. Betsy and the 1.8 million people living with disabilities in Los Angeles County, thank you for caring enough to show your support.
Hello world, how you living? This is D. Brex, your host of the all-new rap project here on LA Talk Live. That's latalklive.com, or you can find me on iTunes Radio in the R&B section. That's the rap project every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's Wednesdays at 7 p.m. West Coast time, so don't be late. On the Rap Project, I will be playing the very best of rap and hip-hop that goes beyond the ordinary. So connect with me, your host, D-Brax, the rap connoisseur, on the Rap Project every Wednesday at 7, right here on latalklive.com, where we are more than just talk.
All right, we back. This is WDC Radio. I'm your host. I'm WDC. We're back live. Got my man DBC here. Got the theme music playing in the background. That's cool. I like that. I got my next guest. I'm gonna see if is Ashley still on it? She left. Okay, I'll Facebook her later. I'll say. So let me get the next caller here. You're live at What's the Count? No, we got music in the background.
Hey, what's going on, Farron?
Hi, how you doing?
You don't even know who this is,
That's
huh?
Alan.
Alan,
Right?
man, what's up, man?
What's going on, bro?
Man,
What's up?
I'm waiting for my next interview to kick in.
Hey, what'd you say?
I'm waiting for my next interview to kick in. What's going on?
Yes, sir. I've been watching. I've been watching the show. I'm I just got out of the hospital, so still in the healing process here.
Yeah, you are. How's everything going?
Yeah. Pretty good. I'm looking forward to coming out there and joining the team.
Man, we waiting on you, man. You got to get your health together. We waiting on you. We got a spot for you right over there.
Here. Yeah.
Right
How
over
you
there.
doing, Jody?
Oh man, too blessed to be stressed.
Yes, sir. I'm coming with my guitar too.
Bring it. We got a stage over here too, man. We ready for you, man. We got to get the Stop Sickle Sex campaign going. We got the S. We got two of the S's over here. We waiting for the other one.
Yeah, right.
We waiting for the stop to show up.
Man, you waiting for the stop to show up.
Yeah, we got the sickle and we got the sex going on, but we gotta wait. We waiting for the stop.
Because if it's just sickle sex, it's not good, man. You gotta have the whole thing going.
Hey, we waiting on you, man. We waiting on you. How you feeling though? For real, how you feeling?
Man, I'm. This is the first day that I could really say that I'm back to myself, so it's great. And I was listening to that interview with the last person you were talking about, and I thought it was really interesting how she was talking about, being Caucasian and the fact that the disease is always talked about being a African American or Latino disease,
right?
And yet, these issues with the stigmas and the myths surrounding the disease are all over. I mean, this last hospitalization, I had some major issues with doctors just treating me the way that really in ways that they should know better.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's still a real problem, and we still got some big issues to hit. So I'm really excited, man. I'm excited about this Sickle Cell Awareness Month, and I'm looking forward to coming out there, man.
One of the things that always rings in my head is Dr. Bailey, and her and I had a conversation probably about over a year ago, and she said to me that we cannot leave it up to the doctors and nurses. The community we have to be the ones. It's our responsibility to educate the community and the world about it. It's not that if we wait for the doctors and nurses to do it,
we'll die.
Yep.
So and ever since she said that.
What's funny, man? Like, what'd you say?
I said no. I'm saying ever since she said that keeps ringing in my head that it's up to us. That it's our responsibility to educate the world. It's us. It's us living with these conditions and these genes for us to educate the people.
That's correct. And that's correct. That's 100% correct. She hit it dead on, because you know what? Let me tell you, I've noticed that a lot of these doctors that are miseducated, misinformed, undereducated, whatever you'd like to call it, a lot of times it comes from the fact that these doctors just have lack of exposure to the disease.
Right.
This particular doctor that I was seeing, he missed the fact that I was having a temperature. He was basically telling me that I'm fine, and I ended up having a blood infection.
Wow.
Which is a pretty serious thing. But the fact that he was looking at everything from a specific paradigm, he couldn't see what was right in front of him.
Right.
And a lot of times these things come from us not being able to represent ourselves. And I'm a fortunate person because my sister's a doctor. So I whenever I get into trouble, I call my sister. I'm like, look, you got to handle these doctors. But I was thinking about it. I was like, my brothers and sisters who have sickle cell disease, who don't have the same thing that I do, I really would like to start something. And I'm going to talk to you about that a little bit more. But I'm interested in maybe, pulling together some resources to pull together some doctors that maybe could have like a hotline that can help people who are in the emergency rooms that are dealing with, you know, whether it be a nurse that doesn't understand or a doctor who simply has no clue. I mean, this is a real problem because it continues to be a problem, and it's not, like you said, and like Dr. Bailey said, it's not an issue that's going to go away because it's not being addressed. So we have this responsibility.
And my point, I got my caller. She should be calling back in a second. She's here. Okay. But I'm gonna say real quick that it's up to us, and because of the book knowledge, you know, the book knowledge is there, but sickle cell affects everybody different. So you can't base just the book knowledge off of what you see in that person. Those two worlds are totally different. And that's probably one of the things that we need to take a look at. But I gotta go, Alan. I got my next caller on the line. You're welcome to stay on the line if you like.
I just wanted to let you know I'm supporting, and I'll be there in a couple.
Man, we waiting on you, man. We waiting on you, man. We got a whole show set up for you, man. We waiting on you and a chair. So let's go.
Well, it's coming. Tell LA to get ready.
All right, man. Thank you. Hey, thanks for calling in, man. We appreciate you.
Peace.
All right. Talk to you, Jody.
All right. Let's see here. You're live, and what's the count? Hello?
Hello?
Is this Deidre?
Yes. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you today?
I'm good.
Hey, this is Sickle Cell Awareness Month. I want to thank you for calling in to WDC Radio and being open to share your story living with sickle cell. So please introduce yourself to the listeners.
Hi, my name is Dear Harshaw. I have a grandbaby that's 6 years old that has the sickle cell anemia disease.
Wow.
She is hospitalized on a regular basis. She does run high fevers. She has had 4 infected spleens. She has had scarlet fever 3 times. And she has a huge problem with her GI tract right now.
Wow.
So she goes through a whole lot. As a caregiver, it's very hard to take care of her.
Yeah. Now say how old she is again.
Her.
Let the people know how old she is again.
She's 6.
She's 6 years old. That's amazing.
Wow.
Now I want to start the conversation off with some trait awareness. Did you know that you had the trait in your family? How did you find out?
Yes. Brianna, who is my daughter, is a trait carrier. So we knew when Brianna was pregnant with Ariana that there was a 50-50 chance of Ariana coming out with the disease.
Mm-hmm.
When she had Ariana, they checked her right then and there, and they found out that she had the disease. As time went on, 3 months later, we ended up getting her checked again because the hemoglobin is now an adult. So they found out that she was 100% sickle. She didn't really start having her pain crises until she turned 1.
So
once she turned 1, then she really took off.
So your daughter's the father of Brianna. What's your granddaughter's name again? Ariana. So her dad has a sickle cell trait as well.
Correct.
And so your daughter and he they had no idea, no.
My daughter, when they had their kids, they were 14.
Right.
So, of course, they didn't know. Okay. I knew Brianna was a trait carrier.
Okay.
But we didn't know that the boy was a trait carrier.
Okay.
Then we found out Ariana had the disease, and we had him checked. He has the trait. So.
What was your first thought when you found out your granddaughter was going to be living with sickle cell disease?
It bothered me, but I work in the healthcare, so I could deal with it more so than Brianna.
Mm-hmm.
She was young, so I had to teach all my kids about Ariana's disease.
Right.
And I caught the ending of your conversation with the gentleman before, and that is true, and I tell people all the time, everybody has sickle cell, but sickle cell works on everybody in a different way.
Yes.
I'm here in Michigan. I'm in a sickle cell group in Michigan, and everybody's disease is different. Ariana's is just debilitating her as far as, she has severe constipation. She does 7 meds a day.
Wow.
And when she's hospitalized, she takes huge dosages to just actually go to the bathroom. Her stomach gets very, very, very distended. So
Wow.
it's causing a huge problem with that. So, you pray on it and you try to keep her as safe as possible.
Right.
But being that she's hospitalized basically every other month, she sickles 1 to 3 times a week, it's starting to hinder her learning.
Definitely.
Because she's out of school so often.
And what is that experience like as far as being out of school? Is the school system giving you a hard time, or?
No, her school, we do awareness. She's in the 1st grade this year. Last year, I did a lot of education with them because she's in a predominantly Arabic school. So I did a lot of teaching last year with them for Ariana.
Wow.
They do work with me a lot with Ariana. They do a lot of one-on-one with her. This year she'll be doing the after-school program, which the first hour of the program is tutoring.
Okay.
So she will get tutored. She's also going to be in Sylvan.
Okay.
Because she's out of school so much.
Right.
And you think about it, if she's in the hospital 5 to 7 days, she might be well enough to come home, but them 5 or 7 days, we do a lot to her in them 5 to 7 days.
Right. Do you know, has she?
And then when she come home,
has she had
Go
any blood transfusions? I know you mentioned how she has a crisis so often. Are they doing blood transfusions, or are they to just monitor her?
they just monitor her. She had a transfusion in 2012. We did a biopsy, and for that biopsy, she had to take 7 to 10 transfusions to get her numbers right, just to do the biopsy.
Wow.
After that, we haven't did any blood transfusions. Now they're talking about putting her on that
hydroxyurea.
No.
Yeah, hydroxyurea.
Yeah.
But I haven't fully gave into that yet.
Yeah, you want to definitely do some research on that. Everybody has different opinions on hydroxyurea. Yeah, it's we're not doctors, we're not specialists, so I just recommend you definitely take a look at what it does and the side effects.
The side effects is a trip.
Because the side effects may be worse in cases for
right,
others.
and see, that was my thing, and I go with the doctors on this back and forth, just because I'm an advocate for her.
Right.
And I have looked it up. I've seen patients come in the hospital. We get them off of secondary issues.
Right, exactly.
Because we get them for respiratory.
Exactly.
I'm on a respiratory unit. So I get them for a secondary issue.
Exactly.
But it's like you said, some people that I've encountered, they say they have wonderful results from it. Other people say they had bad results from it.
Yeah.
But that's just like sickle cell.
Exactly.
Sickle cell
Everybody's
might
different.
Work on one person one way. It doesn't on another.
I've met a guy who had sickle cell, older gentleman too. I want to say in his 50s or plus, and 99% of his red blood cells were sickle, and the only pain he ever had was in his left arm. But he said he had like a couple open heart surgeries. He had his eyes surgeries done.
Oh Lord.
But his pain crisis was the most
minimum.
he said was the minimum in his left arm. And he would hold it like close to his body, like in a sling. But that was mostly of his pain. But the secondary issues,
that's a blessing.
yeah. But the secondary issues, like having eye surgery 3 times or 3 bypass or heart surgery, it's everybody's different. Everybody is affected different. What do you want the world to know about sickle cell disease?
That it is a disease, and it needs to be aware as a disease. Here in Michigan, we don't do enough awareness for sickle cell. We really don't. I am about to try to be an advocate in Michigan to actually try to promote it more. I want to put together a walkathon. I want to do stuff so people can be aware. I want Ariana to go to the schools and actually talk about her disease.
Right.
I just went through an issue with Medicaid last week. I had to call Lansing. I had to call the district manager over Department of Human Services because they just turned off Ariana Medicaid. I didn't find out until I went to go buy her medicine or get it. It was costing me $350. I ended up paying it. Went home, did the app online, didn't hear nothing, did it again. They just took me through a world of issues
Testify.
to get her insurance back on. And I'm telling this caseworker, she is sick. We're just getting her. Last week we got her out the hospital on Tuesday. She needs to follow up with her specialty doctors. They wanted me to take her to the free clinic.
Oh, no.
And I said, free clinics won't work for me. They won't.
No.
But, you have to really stand up for these kids that have these childhood diseases that they're going to have forever. I don't understand why they don't do enough for or raise funds for sickle cell.
Yeah.
Because it is actually a disease, and these kids really do suffer. Like I say, Ariana's, to a certain degree, is mild, but you have kids that's out here that's physically disabled from it.
Definitely.
But they don't acknowledge this.
But I mean, for her, it's
even-
still important because if a person with sickle cell disease, you got to be aware of your surroundings, infections. Like, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
Immune
Anybody
system
that's
wise.
around her, she catches stuff.
Right. So it's
she gets
important.
sick on a regular. And her constipation, I can manage her crises at home. I can't manage her GI problems.
Yeah.
And like I say, we go over and beyond. And it's not a remedy. It's not like do A, and if A don't work, do B. No, you have to really play with it. My worst fear is that she perforate her bowels or she end up with a bowel obstruction.
Yeah.
And then she'll get deathly sick.
Yeah.
But people don't raise awareness enough about it.
Right.
And we as family members, as caregivers to these children and loved ones, need to really promote that sickle cell is a disease.
Yeah.
And we need to promote what it does and what causes it, what treatments are out there. We need to be advocates for these children.
So I have a question for you that I post a lot on Facebook about the verbiage and the language around sickle cell being a disease or a disorder, and what's your does it really matter how it's portrayed in the community or in the medical books as far as a disease or disorder? Are they the same to you or are they different?
I'm kind of pro and con against that. I feel like it's a disease.
Yes.
Just because cancer is a disease,
Mm-hmm.
diabetes is a disease,
Mm-hmm.
asthma is a disease,
Mm-hmm.
lupus and leukemia is a disease.
Mm-hmm.
Sickle cell should be also a disease. It is a disorder of the cells in their bodies. Their hemoglobin cells are hemoglobin S, and it makes them abnormal and turns them into a crescent shape.
Right.
It's a disease,
But by it being
deforms
inherited, but it's an inherited. I say that I'm not a doctor, but we all have, I'm sure, cancer cells. It just depends on what end of the environment triggers them. If it's smoke and if it's alcohol, whatever. But a person with everybody doesn't have sickle cell disease. I mean, sickle cell, the genes. So my thing is that if you how can you categorize it a disease when cancer, that's a totally different spectrum of sickle cell. The what goes on with those genes. So I beg to differ. I like disorder, because the sickle cell trait is the condition of the gene, and then you have the disorder, which is the sickle cell. When those two genes come together. So I just want to know your perspective on it, because it's something that I'm definitely going to have a conversation about, because I think it's important how it's portrayed or how it's conversated about in society and in the medical field, because it gets downplayed so much. Like, why is it getting downplayed so much? And it's
It
not.
does. And when we get them in the hospital, a lot of sickle cell patients are characterized as drug-seeking patients.
Yes. The stigmas. The
Um,
stigmas that go along
they
with
have
it.
yes, they have a stigma that goes with them. And I got a couple of them that are like that. But then how do you say if they're in pain or not?
Right.
You know, so that it comes right back to you.
Right.
But when we first found out that Ariana had it, one of the problems my mother had with us with giving Ariana pain medicine was like, oh, you're going to turn her into a drug addict. Well, not necessarily.
Right.
Because you don't want her walking around with pain.
Right.
There has been times where we be in the grocery store, she just drops.
Wow.
Or we can be out shopping, and she'll all of a sudden just out the blue get this pain. We could be anywhere, and she just comes up with this pain. So we always have stuff with her. So do you want her not to have pain meds, or do you want her to just sit in pain?
Exactly.
So it's hard.
It's a
when she's in the
fine
hospital.
line. It's definitely a
Yeah.
fine line. I got Jody here. Let's see, Jody, you have a question for Jody?
Yeah, getting back to that Medicaid, did they get that situation straight? 'Cause I'm dealing with the same thing right now. I have sickle cell disease. I'm 45 years old, and they cut mine off as well. I had to pay $350 for mine. So how did you get that straight?
I ended up, she ended up putting it on, but she was very, very mad with me. And I was at work, like I'm at work right now, so if I stop talking, it's because I'm at the hospital right now.
That's
But
okay.
I was at work, and so I was making all these calls while I was at work. And when I say she talked to me, like in a way, like if she could have seen me, because I had so many people come down on her head, but she ended up turning it on. But she did other stuff also. So she turned Ariana Medicaid on, but she cut my daughters off.
Oh Lord.
So what I had to do was call Lansing, to the actual headquarters in Michigan. I called Lansing, and I found out who to talk to there. There's also a insurance community center
Yes.
that you can contact, and also contact your Medicaid division in your area and voice a complaint to them also. Because I had to do that. And both of them go together. So if you do it with Medicaid division, you also have to do it through the insurance also. Do them both together and file a complaint against them.
Yeah.
Because everybody with some sort of disease needs to have their insurance.
Right.
I mean, to pay $350 out of pocket, my daughter can't pay for that.
I
I
didn't-
had to pay for it.
Wow.
And you can't go without your meds.
Exactly. I still got
So,
meds right now. I
yeah.
can't even pick up because of that. But we're definitely about your daughter. Far as her, do they give her anything to take care of her constipation?
We take, every day, we do 34 grams of Marilet. We do 10 of Senna, 8 of Colace, and we do Zantac. And she also takes a small Colace pill. It's not Colace, but it's in the Colace family. She takes the Colace pill, and she also takes mag citrate.
This is
Every
all
other day.
this is all to go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
'cause
and every other day we do pediatric enema if we have to, or suppository.
Oh wow.
Yeah, does
So
she?
she takes everything on the market, the highest you can take on the market outside the hospital. When we're inside the hospital, she takes all that, plus she can take 7 to 10 suppositories and enemas.
We got a question.
And-
We got a question for you. We got a
Miss Arthur,
question.
I have a question. Is this something that is common with people that have sickle cell? Is it only at a certain age, or is it something that?
Well, Jody says he has
I
the same
deal
kind of
with it
constipation
a
issues
lot.
as well. So
Well, one thing that
But if you take go ahead.
one thing I was just gonna ask. So even if you have a high fiber diet and so forth, people are still having issues. Because one of the things that I was thinking of, like that came up to my thought was maybe like including instead of more oats and brands, include more hemp protein, like hemp bagels or hemp bread, because it's very high in fiber and in protein and magnesium and potassium, so all that good stuff.
To use the bathroom.
Yes, I mean, I just as an alternative, just because I'm not a big fan of like all these drugs and stuff, but I mean, that could be an alternative.
Is if you take a lot of narcotics, that'll do it.
Yeah.
But you have to drink a lot of water. I mean, you have to drink a lot of water.
That's my problem.
And roughage is good for it. With Ariana, this has been her problem since birth.
Yeah.
It's just magnified itself over the last 6 years, and she's been on these meds for the last 4.
Yeah.
So therefore, her body is already immune to the medication. There's no higher that you can go except Go Lightly, and we do 2 to 4 liters of Go Lightly in the hospital. Now, for an adult, you can do a dairy-free diet and see if the dairy is doing it to you, because we did that also. But if you go dairy-free and you actually want to go dairy-free,
it's hard.
You have to literally do a kosher diet to see if the dairy products is what's doing it to you.
Yeah, because I'm lactose tolerant.
So you have to take everything away.
And diet, but with diet is so important though.
Yeah, my diet is jacked up.
We almost have to eat to our blood type, you know, from our hair and ancestry.
And see, that's a big and we don't eat healthy. But like for Ariana, for the month of June, I literally put her on a kosher diet. Literally took everything from her. The bread, no ice cream, nothing. Nothing with dairy products. It didn't make a difference.
Yeah, it could be her
medication.
It didn't make
one difference with
her. It
her.
could be the medication for sure.
Because I give Dizzy a lot. Does she have a lot of nausea? Because I'm always dizzy too.
She doesn't have no dizziness or nothing along with it.
Deidre,
9 times out of 10, she's usually afebrile with it.
Deidre, I got like a few minutes left. I want to ask you this question because I heard you say that you are inside the medical care, you know, in the hospital already. From the inside looking out at your coworkers, what can we do as a community to be able to educate the doctors and nurses? Because that's one of the complaints that we have, is that educating the doctors and nurses. You being on the inside and looking out, what do you see? What can we do to infiltrate that system?
You have to really know your body, and you have to really voice what is going on with you.
Yeah.
A lot of doctors really don't listen to patients. They think they're God. So you have to really, really know your body and explain to them what's going on with your body. Because if you don't know what's going on with your body, they're going to tell you whatever you need to hear.
Right.
And they're going to try to get you out the hospital as quick as possible. Because you are costing them money. But we need to
That's true.
It
is.
They want you out. They want to cure. They're not going to try to cure the problem. They're just going to make you feel better to where you're not still in the hospital. They're not going to solve anything.
No, this is going to make you comfortable.
You have to really educate them on sickle cell. And a lot of people do not know sickle cell. They really don't. And it's part of education. And like you said before, it's not just in the books. You need to go outside the realm of the book.
Right.
Because everything in the book is not always what you're going to see. Or it's going to manifest itself in a different way.
Exactly.
I think we should do a show and take it to the media, like 30 days, how it is living with sickle cell with 10 different patients.
Got to do something
and take
with
it to the media.
Got to do something with
living with sickle cell. That way everybody can really see. They got all these other reality shows. That's crazy.
Jody,
well, you know, my husband is an author. It's funny that you say that because we have a book publishing company, All In Publication, and my husband is an author. So I do all the promoting of his books. I do everything to put his books on the shelves and everything. And he is doing a short film now called Heart of Greed. So in the midst of him doing this film, he's actually producing, directing it, and is in it. So I had it's funny that you said this because I said, you know what? You need to really film a show with sicklers.
Well, we would love to partner with you.
And we already got the soundtrack.
We already got soundtracks. We got live bodies here, so we would definitely
Man, that's perfect.
And I was stationed in Michigan too, so I'm
Wow.
quite familiar with your area. So we would definitely like to team up with you. I'll be in contact with you after the show, Deidre,
And I rap gospel.
Oh,
so
okay, then yeah, get with me, cause yeah, we can get together and collaborate and see what we can do, and he can film it, and we could put something out there. The
definitely.
good, the bad, and the ugly.
Hey, that's right. Hey, I want to thank you for calling in and taking time out your work schedule and sharing your story and your granddaughter's story. We really appreciate you. Lots of work. Sometimes I forget. I doubt myself. Like, who really cares about sickle cell? Sometimes you just wonder
Who
if
really
anybody's
cares?
listening. And I want to thank you because you remind me again today
A
how
passion.
important this is, because it's a conversation that's it's not being had at the capacity that we
Right.
feel that it should be heard. So thank you for reminding me that today. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right, so this is WC Radio. You can follow me on Twitter at IamWDC. Jody, where you at?
At DBC Jody.
Don't forget we got a pledge coming up September 30th. So please look for the postings for that and the Facebook tweets for the pledge September 30th here for WDC Radio. We're launching the nonprofit. We're creating the mobile testing unit and our program. So gotta fund the war. So we just thank you for participating and thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next Monday.
Same time.
Same
bat
time,
channel.
11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. WDC Radio on LA Talk Live for more than just talk. Catch us on Ustream, AOL Radio, YouTube, TuneIn Radio, all over the place.
All the new smart cars, AHA Radio, shortly coming soon.
Yeah, you be able to listen to us in the car.
So I know you're gonna get a new Tesla. So when you get your Tesla,
Yes.
you could tune in via,
You are?
tune in. So
Yeah, man, I got it.
You getting in?
Yeah, I gotta get that.
we gotta get a Tesla.
This is WDC Radio. Thank you. Sickle Cell Awareness Month. Again, thank you for tuning in, listening in. We'll be back next week. Catch me on Saturday, Trench Talk, 13:30 on LA Talk Live. We're more than just talk.
Peace in the Middle East.
Shout us out. Count.
Basketball is my favorite sport. You know I like the way they dribble up and down the court, fast and slow. 25 years ago, the WDC, and it's me, your man Curtis Blow. From Dr. J to Michael Jordan to Kevin Durant, who leads the whole league in scoring. This is Wayne Wade down in Miami, making a name. I love this game. To the NBA Hall of Fame, slam dunks, alley-oops, and the give and go. Vince Carter, Superman, and my man Carmelo and Rondo over in Boston with the big three, captivating audiences across the country and ruling the world like LeBron the King. I say, man, Kobe sure has a lot of rings. I do my thing, not for the bling bling, and the amount is the NBA Finals. So what's the count?
Are you having sickle sex?
Sickle sex?
Yeah, sickle sex. You won't know unless you've been tested.
Really? You can really get sickle cell from having sex?
No, but your baby can. If you carry the sickle cell trait, you could possibly have a baby with the sickle cell disease. Find out more today and get tested. This message brought to you by SCD Social Network.
Hi, this is Elena, inviting you to join me every Wednesday at noon for Elena's Beauty Talk and more, exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure.